Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 2.
My fellow Americans, welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Continuing my visit in rural Louisiana this week. It's been a great time with my family here. So I am on now in California. Made it to Sacramento, California a few weeks ago. My thanks to iHeart for putting me on out there at a fantastic station so that I can be coast to coast. Those of you in Sacramento listening on Talk 650 KSTE. Now, I want to talk, not because I'm on in California, because I'd talk about it anyway, but those of you in California, we need to have a heart-to-heart. If you're listening out there to me, you probably understand your state's not doing so well. Your governor, did y'all see that? I can't play the audio because there'd be a language alert, but Chris Sununu talking about how all the governors tend to get along except with Gavin Newsom, and it doesn't matter whether they're Republican or Democrat, they don't like Gavin Newsom. He's rides a little too high in the saddle. They don't particularly care for him. He's an arrogant D-bag is I think, roughly what Chris Sununu said. And he is, by the way, by all accounts. Even Democrats in California think Gavin Newsom is a pretentious, ick-day. And, now there's this. New unemployment filings rose by 13,000 to 242,000 unemployment filings last week, the highest level since last summer. The increase, led by a big pickup in California filings, might be a sign the labor market is losing steam. My fellow Americans, friends, Romans, countrymen, the minimum wage, do you know what the minimum wage is in the United States? Some of you may say 7 something an hour. Some of you may say in California, $20 an hour. Do you know what the minimum wage is in the United States? Zero. In basic economics, you learn about the supply and demand curve and the way it works. That prices will inevitably land somewhere based on supply and demand. You put enough product in a market, based on the demand of that product, it will land at a price in the free market. Governments sometimes set floors on the price of something. And if you set a floor on the price of something and it's higher than where it would naturally be on the supply and demand curve, well, you can get shortages. And so government sometimes set a ceiling where the price can only be so high. And if it's lower than where the supply demand curve could be, where you could get Shortages. Rent in New York City, there are rent-controlled apartments, and there aren't enough of them. The government sets a ceiling on how high the rent can be, and there are shortages. In California, they set the minimum wage for fast food restaurants with an exception carved out for one of Gavin Newsom's friends. So one of Gavin Newsom's friends owns a lot of Panera Breads in California. I like Panera Bread. Their bacon spinach souffle, one of my favorite things for breakfast until I saw the macro content and calories. Now I got to limit myself to like one a month. They're so good. But Panera Bread makes bread and bagels. And California, their minimum wage law says fast food chains have to have a $20 an hour minimum wage unless they sell bread as a standalone product. I'm kind of surprised the McDonald's and Burger Kings of California didn't start selling bread as a standalone product to take home to get around it, but they didn't. And now they're all going out of business. In the 21st century, we have this thing called a robot. And they now have robots that can flip burgers. And they have robots that can put the burger patty between buns and add condiments, and even another robot that can wrap it, and even another robot that can deliver it to your table. And the workers of California are getting replaced by the robots because the workers of California have to be paid and the robots do not. They would rather hire people. They just can't hire people at $20 an hour and make a profit. There is such a thing as a profit motive, and a profit motive is good. Profit is good. People go into business to make a profit, to earn money, and it's their incentive to provide you a good and service that you like. And in a free exercise and exchange of ideas and goods and services, you provide them money to get the hamburger you want, and they make the hamburger you want because you get the food you want and they get the money they want. Capitalism is good. Free markets work. And when the free market is interrupted by the government demanding that the free market not negotiate a fair wage, but the government mandate that wage, and that wage is higher than what the businesses can pay, the businesses either fire the workers or they go out of business. Scores of restaurants in California are closing. So I've got to know a guy out in California, Andrew Gruel. He's on Fox a lot, and he writes about the bureaucracy of running restaurants in California. And it's not just the minimum wage, it's the bureaucracy overall. If, for example, he has an employee who does not go to break on time, he gets fined. And so he has to have someone to make sure that the employees go to break on time or his business gets fined. And that adds to his payroll to have someone to monitor it. If an employee clocks in sooner than the employee should clock in or does any work before clocking in, he gets fined. There are fines if your employee shows up early. There are fines if your employee stays late. There are fines if your employee doesn't take a break at a particular time. Fines, fines, fines. Never mind that he and the employee should be able to negotiate it all. No, the government has stepped in, served the role, and driven up the costs of restaurants in California. Was talking to a Chick-fil-A operator in Georgia. And he said that the employees he knows that are going to go far are the ones they help, the ones they send off to college and they help. They're the ones they show up early, they stay late. And I mentioned this on air, and several people say, well, they're not going to get paid. They show up early and they don't clock in and they're working. They're not getting paid. That's not fair. It has nothing to do about fairness. It has to do about showing your work ethic. And they invest in that person, and that person winds up making more money long term because they've showed up early, they've stayed late, they've done the things they need to do. They're not caring about the clock, they're caring about making the business better themselves. And that shows their willingness to invest in the business, and so the business has a willingness to invest in them. And long term, those people actually wind up making more money. They get better recommendations, they have more support, they have company-funded scholarships, they get a good degree, and the reputation exceeds them. They're like, this is the guy we want. We want that guy working working with us because he is going to be committed to us, so we're going to commit to him. It's a sign of a work ethic. And in California, they've done everything possible as a government to minimize your ability to show your work ethic and have a company invest in you. And now you're all going unemployed because the companies can't afford to pay you the minimum wage. But it's not just that. Jonah Goldberg has a piece at the Dispatch. It's behind a paywall. I included the relevant excerpt in the show notes so you don't have to pay for it. If you text DATA to 33777, you can get it. Let me read you part of this, though. I've always wanted to visit Morocco, and not just to thank it for being the first country to recognize the United States of America. I like fez hats at old cities, enough said. But Morocco has problems starting with corruption. Among the 180 countries scored by Transparency International, it's squarely in the meaty part of the bell curve at 97. It's just slightly more corrupt than India, Lesotho, and the Maldives, and slightly less corrupt than Argentina, Albania, and Belarus. Such rankings are more art than science, and these distinctions are pretty fine. I mean, anyone looking to do business in Morocco who is concerned about corruption won't have their fears allayed with the assurance, hey, we're marginally less corrupt than Albania. The country is in a bit of a pickle of late because Morocco's economy is largely run under the royal court, and since 2018, King Mohammed VI has all but vanished thanks to a bromance he struck up with Abu Azattar, a German MMA fighter who did a 3-year stint in prison for brutally beating up a businessman. Azattar, along with his brothers, monopolized the king's time and benefit handsomely from his largesse. They use military jets. They have carte blanche to function in the palace as they want. They can go to the garage and pick up the cars they want, a royal insider told The Economist. It isn't super relevant. It's just interesting, like the fact that the symbol of love in Morocco isn't the heart, but the liver. Given the role that the liver plays in drinking, there's a certain logic to this. Alcohol is notoriously unreliable in the quest for Miss Right, but it is a storied matchmaker in the quest for Miss Right now. Still, I have the idea of liver-shaped boxes of chocolates so to be hard to get my head around. In fairness, though, some claim that the familiar Valentine heart symbol is derived from the netherly shape of a woman bending over, so it's possible that the symbol of love, outside Morocco that is really the rear end. So who are we to judge? The liver wants what the liver wants. Anyway, I bring up Morocco because around the time the king started dotting the I's in Azattar with little livers, Morocco debuted its high-speed rail system, the Al Barak. Morocco announced that construction would begin in 2008, but delays in financing pushed its construction until 2011 when the French rail company SNCF was brought in to expedite the project. SNCF made the decision to work in Morocco after years of frustration in an even more opaque and confusing realm, California. It wanted the contract to build California's bullet train, but it found that dealing with California's politicians and bureaucrats was maddening. There were so many things that went wrong, a veteran project manager told the New York Times in 2022. SNCF was very angry. They told the state they were leaving for North Africa, which was less politically dysfunctional. 7 years later, Morocco has a bullet train. California still has bupkis. In 2008, voters in California approved the high-speed rail project. It was perfectly timed with the incoming Obama administration's agenda of transforming America. It started pouring schmundo into what would become the administration's signature transportation project, 13 high-speed rail corridors across the country. That investment is how we can break ground across the country, putting people to work building high-speed rail lines, Obama explained, because there's no reason why Europe or China should have the faster trains when we can build them right here in America. If you define high-speed rail as exceeding 150 miles per hour, America has one such corridor, Acela. The initial price tag for California's rail system for the 500 miles between San Francisco and Los Angeles would be $35 billion. It's now estimated to be $128 billion, and the state is $100 billion short. Estimates for the 171-mile starter segment alone cost $35 billion. In Florida, they were able to build a high-speed rail between Orlando and Miami. Private business did it, and it got done. In Morocco, a country that is only slightly less corrupt than Albania, they were able to build a high-speed rail system. But the bureaucracy in California has made it impossible to build a high-speed rail system, and now its employees are going out of business and out of work because the robots are taking over, because the California bureaucrats decided they knew better than the free market. California wants to be the model for America. If so, we're all going to be out of work.
Blinds.com's Cyber Monday Last Chance is happening now. Don't miss out on up to 45% off site-wide. A Blinds.com design expert can help you make the perfect selection on your schedule. We can handle everything from measure to your whole home installed for one low cost. With over 25 million windows covered, Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Save up to 45% site-wide, plus a free professional measure right now at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. Again, Philip's out this week, so I put together the show notes myself, which is great because I get to basically follow along with exactly how I put it together. I have mentioned to you this phrase. It's from the Peruvian president in the 1930s. For my friends, anything. There's a question: do you say anything or everything? For my friends, anything. For my enemies, the law. You saw the scenes at Columbia University of the anti-Semitic protesters who broke into Hamilton Hall and refused to leave and demanded they bring in food and vandalize the place. They were all charged with felonies. New York District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who prosecuted Donald Trump over a victimless crime, claiming that paying Stormy Daniels money in 2017 hiding it is what caused him to win in 2016, the year prior to the payment. He is beginning to dismiss all the felony charges against the students who stormed into Columbia University. For my friends, anything. For my enemies, the law. This is where you begin to get people to disrespect the law and the justice system, and he doesn't care. It's all about power. So, I've been telling you how bad The Acolyte is. It is. But y'all, the episode that came out this week, so The Acolyte is a based on the Star Wars universe. It's a Disney. A cave burned down. Yes, the cave was made of stone, and somehow the stone caught fire and spread, and everybody died. Now, this is a woke universe, so the stone could identify as a tree, I guess, and it caught fire. The stone did, just like they had a fire in outer space. The whole thing is bizarre, but there's this intersectional lesbian witch. Yes. And she lectures on how the Jedi think that the Force is a power, and it's a power you wield. And the same intersectional lesbian witch later says this is about power and who gets to use it, meaning the Force. So it's not a power, but it is a power, and you can't wield it, but you can wield it. It's all an intersectional mess, but it's like the woke Alvin Bragg. This is about power and who gets to use it, and the anti-Semites should have power and Donald Trump should not, and that discredits justice. Now, your computer may be discrediting to you. You got a hunk of junk. You got a one-size-fits-all. You didn't know any better, but you needed a computer. Well, Vision Computers can make things right. You can go to them. They can build you the perfect computer for your needs and wants. They did for my kid for his gaming PC. And then you get the phone number that you can call, and in 15 seconds or less, get the answer whenever you need it. All you have to do is call them at 404-COMPUTE and start working with them. 404-COMPUTE. Even if you did not buy a computer from Vision Computers, they can become your tech support resource. And again, you get a special phone number, and in 15 seconds or less, you get the answer to your riddle of your computer. How it works is there's something wrong. They can even remote in many times and fix it. They do email support. They do printer support. They take care of your technical needs. If you're a company and you don't have an IT guy in-house, they can help you. All you got to do is call them 404-COMPUTE or go to visioncomputers.com. If you call them at 404-COMPUTE and tell them Eric sent you, you're going to save even more money. Anyone nationwide, all of you listening in Sacramento, all of you down in Florida, 404-COMPUTE. Call Vision Computers today.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. The holidays are here, and you know what that means. It's time to get your friends and family the gifts they deserve. Take the stress out of shopping with Amazon's great deals and low prices on a huge range of items from toys to tech and much more. Whoever you're gifting for, Amazon has great prices on everything you need this holiday season. Shop Amazon for all your gifting needs.
Oh my gosh, y'all, he's done it again. If you follow me on Twitter, I have just retweeted the video of Joe Biden, who poor old Georgia Maloney, she's so sweet, that they're watching parachutists jump, and Joe Biden just wanders off. All the world leaders, you've got, let's see, you got Macron, you got Schultz, you got Sunak, you got Van der Leyen, you got Trudeau. They're all there, and Joe Biden, they're all standing as a group. They're watching the parachutists, and Joe Biden just turns around and walks away, shuffles, and just stands there. It looks like he's talking to someone off camera, but Melania has to wander over and touch him on his arm and turn him around and bring him back to where the group is. So embarrassing. It's like grandpa's wandered off again. You know how you hear these tragic stories of the people with dementia who get up in the middle of the night and they wander off. That's very much what this looks like. And thankfully he's the president of the United States and they can track him. But it's just sad. It's elder abuse is what it is. This is the best that the Democrats have to offer, is an 81-year-old man who is clearly suffering the effects of age, and then they want to lie to all of us and tell us, don't believe your eyes, he's really Albert Einstein behind the scenes. It's just sad to see. It is sad to see. All right, I got to move on. I want to play you some audio here. This is the... where am I now? You know, I've lost my train of thought. I've become Joe Biden. No, this is I've got 3 pieces of audio and I'm trying to figure out which one it is. Here it is. This is the president of the the chairman of the Texas Democratic Party.
Because of our great Texas public school teachers, I am living my dream.
Because of our great Texas public school teachers, I am living my dream. That is the chairman of the Texas Democratic Party, of the House Democrats, I should say. The ranking member of the Texas House Democrats. Because of our great Texas public school teachers, I am living my dream. He went to private school. His children go to private school. Corey DeAngelis highlighted this. Yes, the chairman of the ranking member minority leader of the Texas House Democrats speaks at the Texas Democratic Convention. By the way, they pulled a full drag queen. They went full drag queen. They had drag queen story hour on stage. It's very bizarre, wackadoo. It's become this religious affectation that Democrats do, the embrace of paganism and the drag queens on stage and the painting of the rainbow sidewalks and rainbows across the streets. And don't you dare drive your car across the rainbows on the street and leave tire tracks, because that's sacrilegious. You'll burn. So you got the head of the Texas House Democrats saying, because of our great public school teachers in Texas, I'm living my dream, except he didn't go to public school in Texas. And he's not sending his kids to public school in Texas. What's going on here is that he does not want your children to go to school with him unless you're wealthy. So many of the policies of the Democratic Party are designed to make virtuous, wealthy white progressives feel good about themselves while actually not benefiting the working class. They claim that they're propping up public schools, they're defending public schools, because it's really about the teachers' unions and defending the teachers' unions, for which they get a lot of money. That's what's going on here. It's all about the teachers' union, but they cast it as helping the working class. Maybe the working class teachers who they're not paying, but not actually the working class. Competition's a good thing. In Florida, Ron DeSantis is expanding teacher pay. Biggest pay raises in Florida. You know what the teachers union in Florida is doing? They're complaining that some public schools may go out of business now because so many parents are embracing school choice that though Ron DeSantis is going to pay the teachers more, many of them are going to go on unemployment because they're not going to have schools to go to. Now, I don't know about you, but if a business goes out of business, it's tended to go out of business because it's provided a poor good or service. That's the way free markets operate. Public school has tended to be a monopoly, and monopolists hate it when you break down the monopoly. It's adding a supply-demand curve to public education. It's a great free market idea. You know, it's so funny. So many of these new age populists on the right, they hate free markets and they're opposed to free markets. They want tariffs and the like, except they love school choice, which is a perfect example of free markets working to bring about educational prosperity for kids, to bring about an improved education for kids. And some public schools, yes, in Florida, some public schools are closing because they've lost all of their kids because those kids are now going to private schools. And why do they go to private schools? Because the public schools were failing them. They were failing. So Florida expanded the school choice program that Jeb Bush began. And now you got some public schools where there aren't a lot of kids because those who can left. And think that the solution for the Democrats, think about the Democratic solution is that all of the kids whose families wish them to escape, all of the kids who want to be free and get a better education, they're forced to stay. You have a majority of the kids in a school have left to get a better education, and the Democrats are like, no, we got to pull them back into the public school and force them to stay in the public school. There are a lot of good public schools out there. There are a lot of good public schools out there. But in a lot of areas, there are bad public schools. And the Democrats have decided, you know, it's kind of funny for all the breaking down barriers and diversity, equity, inclusion, allowing people in. No, the Democrat solution is that you are forced, by virtue of the zip code in which you live, you are forced to go to a particular school unless your parents are wealthy. For all the bashing of wealth, the Democrats weaponize wealth to keep poor kids out of their kids' private schools. In Texas, Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, has made school choice a huge campaign issue. And a lot of moderate Republicans in the Texas House of Representatives opposed school choice. And Greg Abbott brought it up 4 times, called 4 special sessions, and it died each time. And he said, fine, I'm going to go campaign against you in the primaries. And Abbott did not win all of the races, but he won enough. There are now the votes in the Texas House of Representatives for school choice when the legislature reconvenes. Not enough. Not enough to stop the Republicans now. And so what are the Texas Democrats doing? They're campaigning on this issue, and they're blackballing anyone who would stand in the way. And here's the problem. In Texas now, some hackers have discovered that they can reveal someone's ballot on Election Day. Ironically, it's actually the mail-in ballots and the early votes that are secure. It's the same-day balloting that is the problem. The Texas hackers revealed, given the way that Texas assigns numbers to ballots, they're not really random, and so you can figure out how someone particularly voted. It's kind of wild. They did this to the chairman of the Texas Republican Party, Matt Rinaldi, and they exposed that he said he voted for Donald Trump, but actually he voted for Ron DeSantis, and they were able to identify this is his ballot. It's a wild story that I'm shocked hasn't made national headlines. They were able to get access to his privately cast ballot and expose that this is his and here's who he voted for. So now imagine the teachers in the public schools who show up on Election Day who vote for the Republican candidate who support school choice, because there are some. I know plenty of public school teachers who support school choice. In fact, I know a couple school teachers who their kids take advantage of school choice. They may teach in the public school, but they want their kids to get a better education. So they're using school choice in Florida to send their kids to a private school. Tells you everything you need to know about the system and the way it's stacked. That even these public school teachers who make a living in a public school system want their kids to get the better education and the benefit of private school, and they take advantage of school choice. What about in Texas? What about in Texas? Where these teachers go and now their ballots are exposed to the teachers' unions and to the Democrats. They got to fix this issue. They got to fix the issue in Texas. But also good for Greg Abbott for campaigning on school choice. School choice is the civil rights issue of our day. In Georgia, where I live, they just passed it. In Louisiana, where I am right now, Governor Landry and the Republicans in the legislature have expanded school choice. Bobby Jindal started it. The Republicans in Louisiana, including some black men who are Democrats from South Louisiana, joined together to give universal school choice. The issue is advancing. And what's standing in our way? It's a bunch of Democrats who send their kids to private school. We're on the opposite side, and this is something that I keep going back to, how the media disproportionately now will take a Democrat, a left-wing narrative that they've seeded, and will run with it. If it was Republicans who were blocking school choice while sending their kids to private school or having gone to private school themselves, the media would be all over the hypocrisy of it. But because it's Democrats doing it, the media says nothing. They give them a pass. And they give them a pass because the left and the media are united to advance the left-wing agenda, and the teachers' unions advance the left-wing agenda. So who cares about the kids? The kids get left behind. And we're now at a point after COVID where so many kids have been left behind because of COVID. Now is the time that we really should be standing up and defending the kids. Now is the time that we really should be standing up and aggressively having the backs of the kids to allow them out of public schools. But the Democrats don't want to do that. The Democrats don't want to do it. They want to force kids to stay in failing public schools instead of giving them a way out. Instead of allowing parents their own taxpayer dollars to decide where their kids should go to school. By the way, you know the latest attack? The latest attack is that states that have embraced school choice, religious schools are growing in popularity. Oh my gosh, separation of church and state. They're using taxpayer dollars to send kids to get a religious education. So let them. That's where the parents have decided they want to use their own taxpayer dollars to go. It is a hell of a racket when you think about it. Whether you have a kid or not in public school, you got to pay for public school. It is an amazing monopoly. Whether or not you have a child in a public school, you have to pay for public schooling. And if you have a child in a public school and the public school is failing, you're stuck unless you can pay additional money to send your child somewhere else. And you've still got to pay for the public school that failed your kid. It's time to rethink public education altogether. We're not going to as a nation. We're not going to. Because inevitably you're going to have somebody who even here calls to the show and says, I'm a Donald Trump supporter and I believe in public schools because I got a great education in public school. And in my county, we just don't have a private school that kids could go to. And I don't know why we should allow it. Because you're selfish. Just because you can't imagine it for you or your kids. There are so many kids who could benefit from it. And in Florida and in Iowa and in Louisiana and all these other states that have embraced it, they're showing that test scores are up, math scores are up, reading scores are up by all the kids who are able to take advantage of it. But because of that one kid who can't, all those kids who could, we got to ruin their lives too. Ultimate selfishness from voters. Now, I want you to protect your hard-earned assets now, and Swiss America wants you to protect your hard-earned assets now. They want to educate you on how to do it with so much turmoil going on in the world right now. They want to be able to do this. In fact, Swiss America's president has a YouTube channel now. You can go check out at SwissAmerica.com, or I'm sorry, at YouTube.com/Swiss America. Go check out Swiss America's president as he explains to you the ways to protect your assets and educate you about the secret war on cash. You can go see the videos and then call them and get their report, Secret War on Cash, at 800-289-2646. All you have to do is mention my name, Eric. You can text my name, ERICK, to 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646, and learn about the Secret War on Cash. And check out Swiss America's YouTube page, youtube.com/Swiss America. Find out about the Secret War on Cash. Get the report for free. Read it. Talk to Swiss America. Let them educate you on protecting your hard-earned assets. Get the report at 800-289-2646. Just mention my name, Eric, ERICK, 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646. Call them or text my name, ERICK, Eric. Message and data rates may apply.
I'm James McComb, reporting live from home in my bathrobe and slippers. Tonight, we're talking Dunkin' Polar Peppermint Coffee. Gene's here with the latest. Gene, do you copy?
The home with Dunkin' is where you want to be.
All right, Nathan Wade having a moment in Atlanta. I don't know if y'all have heard about this. He was being interviewed by CNN, and they started asking about the relationship, and his handlers jumped in the way. I got the audio when we come back. It's actually kind of funny. I want to talk about the latest to play there is Democrats are melting down over this trial that's not happening in Georgia. Meanwhile, however, the chairman of the Federal Reserve is out talking about the economy and people liking it or not liking it, and someone wanted to know what he could do to improve people's views of the economy, among other things.
I don't think anyone knows, has a definitive answer why people are not as happy about the economy as they might be. And we don't tell people how they should think or feel about the economy. That's not our job. People experience what they experience. All I can tell you is what the data show, which is we've got an economy that's growing at a solid pace.
The economy is growing at a solid pace. He's right on that. In fact, the U.S. economy is outpacing every other country on Earth economically right now, including China. The problem, of course, is that people have for so long been in a net wage deficit, and only now is it going up. Only now are they starting to rebuild some income that they lost because inflation was so high for so long. And it's still going up. It's just not going up as fast as it had been. And that's causing all sorts of problems. So the Democrats can rationalize it and explain it as best they can, but still, people's groceries are high. It's expensive. My dad was with me earlier. He was bringing me something, and as he left, he said, he asked me what I was talking about. I said, I'm still trying to figure it out. It's kind of a slow news day. I know the economy. And he says, well, you got to tell people that to be middle class now, you got to be a millionaire. Groceries are so expensive. He's not wrong. I mean, if you were in the middle class and you were making mid to high five figures, not even a six-figure salary, you weren't even at 100,000 yet, you're way behind now. Particularly if you're a renter, your rent's gone up, your groceries have gone up, your wages have not gone up comparably, and yet the Democrats want to tell you how great the economy is. Yes, it is a fact. The American economy is outpacing every other economy on the planet, but we're not French, nor Chinese, nor Japanese. We're Americans, and our economy that's growing faster than all those is not growing good enough for us here with our standard of living, and our grocery bills are high. And this White House is now expanding regulations that are going to make grocery bills even higher because they're worried about food waste and the environment. Never mind, for years they've talked about biodegradableness. Now they're worried about all the food that's going to landfills and what can we do to reduce it and what burdens can we put on businesses that are going to drive up the cost of groceries yet again to minimize food waste. Or are they going to make us all start mandatory composting? You know, in some cities, San Francisco, for example, you got mandatory composting, which is just wild. And yet, there we are. It's just ridiculous. All right. We're out of time. When we come back, I want to play the Nathan Wade audio for you. It's too good not to listen to. What a thing. They should have never let him do this with CNN. And the Democrats continuing to melt down over these cases around the country. Other than Alvin Bragg's, none of them are going to happen, and the Democrats are crying foul, even as the Republicans point out the weaponization of the courts.